TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no rain with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. My name is Franke,
And my name is Rhyan Shanklin.
and this is a premiere show. It's called Balls and Bowties. We are usually behind the cameras, but for this show, we're in front of it. We're going to talk this. We'll be a little fancier, but it talks sports still, as everybody does love. College football week 1 is over with. We do want to give our shout out to our sponsors, though, real quick. WagerWire. If you're not downloaded the app, go download it. It's free. They'll take great care of you, get all your bets handled. Viva Tequila Seltzers. Great tasting. If they don't go to your local bar, if they don't have them, ask them why. Coconut's the new flavor. Try it out. And our newest, one of our favorite sponsors, Atlantis Steaks and Seafoods. They got great food, and you can order from anywhere, so why not give them a shot? We're going to start this week. Talk about college football. Week 1 recap. We got a lot of, games to cover. We're going to cover a couple. North Dakota, Colorado. I mean, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, obviously were great. If anybody saw the Dion video, he talked about North Dakota's greatness and how it carried over from year to year. They just won so many games in D2. But the one thing I noticed I stuck out for me was Colorado's lack of a run game. The leading rusher was 9 for 20, and that's just not going to get it done in college football. Clemson, Georgia, Cade Klubnik, not great. Lack of long shots. It felt like they were just dumping it off every time, and it's going to be hard to win games when you're constantly dumping off the ball. Carson Beck looked good, and then ETN will be back next week, and that's going to be huge they already dominated a top 15 team in the nation, so we'll see what that looks like. Notre Dame, Texas A&M, defenses were great. They were both plus. Notre Dame was 2 for 12 on third downs. The Aggies were 4 for 13 on third downs, so there's a lot to be desired offensively, but you cannot argue with those defenses. Might even be 2 top 5 defenses that we saw in week 1. But Notre Dame's late running game does push them to the win. And then LSU USC Sunday night was entertaining. I would say LSU's lack of long shots was concerning for me, but their Garrett Nussmeier does look very good. Just had no opportunities to throw the ball. Miller Moss for USC had lots of weapons left and right. He could throw to whoever he wanted. So that's going to be a key for them all year. And, of course, the late 13-yard touchdown to cap off the win, which is the difference between a win and a loss. And then last night, Jeff's Boston College beats Florida State. Florida State is terrible. They are bad. But, it's everywhere, to be honest. Like we saw Georgia Tech, there was a lot of holes there. And you're like, okay, Georgia Tech's a good team. So maybe it's not them. It's Georgia Tech outplaying them. But we saw the exact same problems versus Boston College, who we know is not as a good team as Georgia Tech is. So there's a lot to be desired in week 1. But we're going to get into week 2. Ryan, what you got for week 2 to start?
Week 2, key games to watch: Texas versus Michigan. And then we also have Tennessee versus NC State. Far as key players to watch, definitely say Quinn Ewers. He's coming off a great week this past week. We're going to say Davis Warren and Donovan Edwards will also be 2 other key guys to watch.
Yeah, one guy I mentioned, Isaiah Bond, played the first half only of the game, but he had 5 catches for 61 yards and is really their deep threat, their go-to man with all their guys going to the NFL. But there's going to be a lot to be desired, right? It's 4 versus 9 matchup, which is tough.
Yes, definitely. Quinn Ewers is definitely coming off a great week. Completion percentage was very high. Hitting all his targets, and he dominated as he should have. Obviously, for Michigan, this will be for him against Michigan, this will be a different matchup. But as long as he's still able to dissect the secondary as well as he did last week, he will definitely still shine.
Yeah, in Michigan, I'm intrigued by their team. We talked about their QB matchup earlier behind the scenes. They started their quarterback, who we all thought was going to make the start, but he only got a couple snaps and he ran the ball more than he passed the ball. So it's like, okay, is this something that we're going to be expecting? We knew he was a run heavy, but then he got pulled fast. And having new coaching staff, we're not really sure. Is that something that's because of they think that someone's more talented than the starter, or is it don't want to hurt your starters? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously coming off of last season, obviously JJ McCarthy went to the NFL, but the next guy up, Alex, yeah, it was definitely surprising for me just watching the game because you only saw him a few snaps, and like you said, every snap that he played was more designed for a QB run. So that was definitely concerning, and it'll definitely be something to look out for as far as the future goes, and just kind of seeing how that QB system works. Are they going to do a two quarterback system, or are they just going to play it by ear? Are they just going to truly stick with the starting QB there? So
Yeah, and obviously Edwards at running back is their key player. Like, he's a difference maker. If they run the ball through him, they probably win the game. What do you have for key things that both teams have to do to win that game?
definitely. So for Texas, as far as things they need to do to win for sure, I might just say come out fast and strong on offense. If they go out fast and strong, they'll get Michigan on their heels early, and it'll honestly be hard for Michigan to come back. Just kind of looking at last week, just because they were definitely a lot more run heavy than pass heavy. Um, and honestly, the Texas linebackers are coming off a great week. You have a redshirt safety or a redshirt defensive back in Will Brooks, who performed very well last week, and then they got a few transfers coming in as well in the secondary. So as long as Texas runs up the score fast, they'll do pretty well. And then defensively, I say stop the Michigan run game and pressure the QB. Like you said earlier, Donovan Edwards, he is their number one running back, but he did not have the best week, and I'm not really sure of why. We don't know if that's an injury or what, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that game, I mean, it's an early game, which is an interesting. You see the best matchup twice in a row be the 11 o'clock game. I mean, that's something to show, but you got to get the fireworks started early, I guess, is what they're thinking.
Definitely is. And then, as far as Michigan and what they need to do to win, as far as defense goes, stop the explosive Texas offense. If they're able to at least contain them, they don't have to completely stop them, but if they're able to contain them and contain them early, it'll definitely make for a great matchup, and it'll give them a chance to truly, honestly, to me, determine who their QB1 is. I still don't think they're completely confident in the quarterback that they started with, or if they're confident in Alex. But I think this game will definitely be a test for both of them. I hope they both get snaps, just so the public can honestly see who the better option is, and they can see that as well. And then on offense, I say be able to pass the ball effectively. Texas secondary, very, like I said earlier, very strong. So it's going to be very hard for Michigan and their offense to get going early with the pass game. We know they can run, but the run's not going to be able to take them to the victory. So,
Yeah, that game is going to be interesting. I have Texas pulling it out by a hair. What you got?
I have Texas as well. So,
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Let us know who you got in the comments. I mean, that's going to be – it's a 4 versus 9 matchup. I guess the rankings just came out, so there might not be 4 versus 9 now. When we made our thing, it was 4 versus 9. So, obviously, we know it's going to be close, but that should be a good one. Let's move on. Tennessee, NC State. What do you see in there?
Tennessee, NC State, key players, Nico, the quarterback for Tennessee, coming off a great week last week, performed exceptionally well for a freshman. So we're looking for him to bounce back and have a great week. And then NC State with their defense, just their entire defense, they performed really well. They struggled a little early offensively, but the defense kind of held it down for them towards the end of the game. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, we know that Tennessee took away Joe Milton in the NFL, and he has been pretty good in preseason. So adjusting to a new quarterback is going to be a big adjustment, right?
Yes.
But we saw that he has the talent, he has the arm, and he has the group around him that can really make a difference. And that was for me their key to the game. They have to get the passing game moving fast because we know NC State secondary is not great. They're going to have to continue to attack them constantly. And part of the things I look at, week one, they didn't really play any good opponents, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of throw in your whole playbook at them. And it's like, okay, they did throw the ball deep, but is that part of their scheme or is that something they're testing? And I would like to see that, especially for this week, be part of their plan to beat NC State, but you really never know. NC State, though, they have a couple big players of their own.
Yeah. For Tennessee, for me, what I feel like they need to do to win, I say get the pass game started early, like you were saying earlier. I think Nico's coming off a great week, so this week is just going to be another week to add on for his resume, not only just for potential NFL scouts, but also potentially Heisman. All the quarterbacks this week are looking exceptionally well. So I think it's important for Tennessee to get started early on offense and get started quick with the pass game. Just getting him confident because this is a ranked matchup, so it's going to be a big game for them. And then if either one of them want to really look into getting in the college football playoffs, it's just going to be a big game for them, and it's going to be a dictator on whether or not either one of them gets in. And then defensively for Tennessee, I say stop the NC run game. So,
yeah, I think NC State. I mean, their schedule is not an SEC schedule, right? So they're going to have to win games like these to make it to the playoffs, to make it far, to convince a team, one of those members on the board were worth making it.
right.
So even though it's only week 2, they're going to have to win this game. And for me, the key is going to be score.
Yes.
Because we all know we're not going to put trust in that defense too much. But if they want to keep up, they're going to have to score the ball consistently.
Definitely. And for NC State, for me, defensively, I say stop the pass game. The way you slow them down is simply stopping the pass game. You stop Nico from hitting his hot spot or hitting his hot targets. You just slow him down, make him escape the pocket. He's a lengthy quarterback, so he can move pretty well out the pocket. But the more you get him out the pocket, the better off you're going to be because he is more dangerous with his arm than his legs for sure. And then defensively or offensively, I say get started on offense quickly. Get started with the run early, and then you can start opening the field up as the defense starts to collapse in for Tennessee. So,
yeah, we're seeing Grace McCall, Coastal Carolina transfer. We know the success he had there.
yes.
But this is a lot bigger program. He's playing bigger schools consistently. So the real question here is, can he get it done versus a top program like Tennessee? I mean, that place could be rocking. That place could be crazy. And he's going to have to face the environment, the tougher competition, all of it for the first time, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he handles that. I see Tennessee taking this one out.
I also had Tennessee, but I think it's going to be a very close game. Tennessee's always a great team, but NC State, they're looking really good as of recent years. And like you were just talking about with the transfer quarterback, I think he's going to come out and perform well. He will definitely be a little starstruck to begin with, but I think he'll settle in pretty quickly, and he will be able to confidently try to take over the game. So I think it's going to be Tennessee, but I think it's going to be a very close game, probably within 3.
I like that. A couple games that we also noted a little bit, Kansas versus Illinois. We are in Kansas. We do go to Mid-America, so we had to throw in the Kansas. Obviously, Jalen Daniels and Devin Neals are big-time playmakers. But the thing that we got to look at really for this game is the other side of the ball, Illinois' offense versus KU's defense. I mean, we didn't see a whole lot of explosive plays last year from the Illinois Fighting Irish, but what we did see is consistently moving the ball. And that's going to take a lot on the D line. They're going to have to get to the quarterback. Illinois did allow 40 sacks last year compared to Kansas' 16, right? So pressuring the ball is going to be huge for these guys. You're not going to be able to sit back like they usually are and rely on your secondary because they're just not going to throw the ball in after 7 seconds. It's going to be in the first couple seconds. What do you got for that game, Noel?
I have Illinois with an upset. It's very surprising to say, but Illinois' defense, I think they're going to get the job done. They're definitely going to press the quarterback a lot. But I believe that with the Illinois secondary, they got a lot of guys returning. I think this defense is very confident coming into this year. And obviously KU's always good. But I think they're going to slip up when it matters most, and Illinois is going to capitalize. Offensively, it'll be a little strange to see, but I think they're going to come out with guns blazing.
Yeah, and another game we talked about was Colorado, Nebraska. I mean, Colorado is the most publicized college football team we've probably ever seen. What's your thoughts on that game?
I do see Colorado taking a loss. The game last week versus North Dakota State was too close for comfort, but Colorado is definitely a great team. But Nebraska as a whole unit, they are looking very well. I see Dylan Raiola having a great week this week. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I saw something on TikTok of he looks like Mahomes, and apparently he plays like Mahomes with some of his arm angles too.
Yeah, Mahomes, he commented and he said, "That's my little cousin right there." So we'll see how he gets the job done. But I think with their weapons and pieces, I think it's definitely going to be a good game for sure. But I think Nebraska's going to pull it out. No discredit to Shador and Travis. I just think defensively, Colorado has a few holes that it needs to plug. And I think that Nebraska will definitely be able to pick those pieces apart, and it'll definitely make for a hard comeback. So,
yeah, I think this is a statement game for Colorado. If they win this game, it really gives a lot of confidence to them and to the people betting. Like, okay, they can actually beat a good team, right? They played really close to a North Dakota State, who's not bad. Don't get me wrong, but they're not a top perennial team. So you're going to have to beat Nebraska to continue to prove to the fans and to the watchers that we are actually in this now. We're not just, a media rules, as you would say.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick commercial break before we go to NFL. We'll be right back.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, take me higher.
All right, we're back. And then this part of the segment, we'll be talking about week 1 and those key games this week to be looking out for. So our first game is Chiefs versus Ravens. Second game, Packers and Eagles. And then we have the Rams and Lions and the Jets and Niners. As far as Chiefs Ravens, key matchups. Obviously, you're always going to have Mahomes, Kelsey, that duo. It's been looking unstoppable these past 3 years, going on 4 as far as Super Bowls running. But then you also have the new addition in Xavier Worthy. So that is going to be an interesting look. And then on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, best player defensively, Chris Jones. And then we have our guy, George Karlaftis. So that secondary, they're going to be holding down the secondary this year. And then as far as the Ravens go, we have Lamar. And obviously, new addition, Derrick Henry, which is going to be a big pickup for them. And then defensively, new, very young guy, but team captain, Roquan Smith. And then you also have Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, I think this will be very telling, right? We see the Chiefs lose Snead as part of their secondary. And as much as obviously one player doesn't make a team, he obviously was one of the most impactful players. So we're really going to be telling just a team like this, how can they handle it? Not that they have great wide receivers necessarily in the Ravens, but their defense is going to have to be able to handle the Baltimore's really the rush offense. I mean, that's what they're built on. Lamar Jackson, now Derrick Henry, who's a huge part. And it's going to be interesting to see, honestly, which offense takes over. That's what's going to be. Those teams are built on offense, and that's what the league's built on now. So I'm excited to see Xavier Worthy for the first time.
Yes.
Of course, the last time we really saw him, he ran a 4.2 or something like that.
Yeah, 4.240.
So he's obviously got the speed, but if he can be, even get 1 or 2 big plays for the Chiefs, that makes a huge difference.
Yes. Mahomes had been talking all camp when he was asked questions. He had been given so much praise to Worthy in his route running. He's saying he's not just a speedster. He can get the short routes done. He can get the medium routes done. So be on the lookout for that. He's going to be a really big target for them. And yeah, like Lamar and Henry, Lamar obviously a rushing quarterback, but he can get the job done passing the ball as well. And then you have Derrick Henry coming in, who big dude. But yeah, I have for the Ravens to get the run game started if they really want to win this game. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to be expecting that, and Spags, he's going to have to adjust. But for the Ravens, get the run game started if they really want to dominate early and give this Chiefs team a run for their money, as they do every year. But, I mean, they're continuously adding pieces, so it's definitely going to be a much more harder battle for the Chiefs. And then defensively, I say control the secondary, as we just talked about with Worthy and Kelsey. Those two guys are going to be two key guys that obviously they're going to be double teaming and just making sure they X them out. So Mahomes is probably going to have to find some more targets and put trust in some of those other receivers and other young guys on the team.
Yeah, I mean, we know the Chiefs and Mahomes have got it done with kind of a big list of guys on receivers, but having another guy and Xavier Worthy makes a difference. And Rashid Rice, we didn't expect probably to play, is now playing with just no suspension. So when you put him and Worthy and Juju's back, I don't know how much he'll play, but Sky Moore, I mean, you still have Kelsey on the inside. It's going to be tough for the Ravens to control it. I do like that matchup between Travis Kelce and Roquan Smith. I mean, Roquan Smith, probably one of the best coverage linebackers they have in the game, if not, in my opinion, the best linebacker in the game. He'll be the one who's probably gets a lot of the responsibilities against Kelce. So it'll be interesting to see who really wins that matchup. Obviously, a year ago, Kelce won it, and that kind of pushed him over the edge. But there's a lot of pieces for new and gone for both teams. So they're going to have to adjust. I think the Ravens defense and the Chiefs offense, that side of the ball, is going to be the biggest difference maker, because if you can't stop the Chiefs offense, they will score 60 on you, and you can't win a game when you give up 60. So I don't know. I'm interested to see Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson together. You can't QB contain Lamar Jackson when you got Derrick Henry on the other side trying to run through you like a brick wall.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how that game goes, but what do you got?
My prediction, I have the Chiefs winning. Obviously, it's going to be a close battle. It is every time. It's always down to the wire win. But I think for the Chiefs to win this game, they obviously need to stop the run. It's not just Henry. He's got Lamar. So you're definitely going to have to stop Henry early and stop him behind the line so he doesn't pick up any head of steam, because we all know once he gets ahead of steam, he's a force to be reckoned with, and nobody's stopping him unless it's a gang tackle.
Yeah.
And then I say offensively for the Chiefs, I say establish the pass game early. Let them know you guys are not afraid to pass the ball, whether that's Kelsey versus Roquan or Kelsey versus Kyle Hamilton, or if that's Worthy versus Roquan Smith. Just let them know that you guys are not afraid to let the ball go early. And then obviously you got Pacheco in the backfield, so you guys know the running game is always going to be there. But yeah, who do you have?
I think I give a slight lean towards the Super Bowl favorites and Super Bowl two-time winning champions Chiefs. I saw the line out there is moved to -3, and that's going to be tough. To me, it's going to be a super close game. But if you're taking the bets, I'm probably taking +3 Ravens, because I think it's going to be that close.
Yeah.
And I think the Chiefs will pull it out, but I think it'll be within 1 or 2 points. So if you're looking for a line out there, that's my line to give out.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely say it will definitely come down to a field goal or just one possession, one messed up possession on either side of the ball. That's usually always how these games go between the Chiefs and Ravens. But moving on to the Packers and Eagles. You got Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts, obviously those two as far as QBs go. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this game is going to be interesting. We see the Packers, who kind of surprised a lot of teams last year. Jordan Love came out of pretty much nowhere, really took off at the Thanksgiving game versus the Lions. But what a lot of people are thinking is he's going to come in as almost MVP caliber, right? And it'll be interesting with all their weapons. You know, we have Dowds and Watson, and they on a running back they have Jacobs now. That offense is very scary, and a huge add at their defensive coordinator spot. It probably changes up their defense a little bit, which was their weakness. But of course, you have the Eagles. I mean, 2 years ago they're in the Super Bowl. Last year, not quite the season they expected, but they bring in Saquon. I mean, last year they had new coordinators, right? So you're really adjusting a lot more than people give them credit for. But with Saquon as that huge add, it's going to be an offensive battle for sure. As much as the Eagles were built on defense the last couple of years, it's going to be a shootout.
Definitely, yeah. My predictions is for this game is the Eagles. I think just with their veteran experience and obviously, like you said, 2 years ago getting in that Super Bowl, I think that gives them the leverage. I think that gives them the leverage versus a young Packers team, but a very gritty Packers team at that. So, who do you have winning?
Man, it's weird game. Brazil, a lot of travel. I would have to give the Eagles a slight edge. I think that the Packers, it's going to be a huge one to pull out with this kind of win because we know what their division looks like with the Lions and the Bears, and that's a tough division to come out of. So you're going to have to win non-divisional games because you probably split a lot of those ones. But the Eagles might not be the one that they get and coming in early. I think the Eagles are just better when everybody's healthy. That's the big one, big week one. When teams are healthy, it's going to be hard to beat the Eagles.
Definitely. And then moving on to that Rams-Lions game, key matchups, obviously Puka Nacua coming off a great rookie year. And then you got Cooper Kupp. And then defensively, you got Jalen Ramsey and Bobby Wagner. And then when you go to the Lions, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamar Gibbs. So what are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, both of them. Like, again, the NFL is based on offense, right? But these are two top offenses in the league. Rams have that nasty wide receiver duo, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and seeing them play off each other is going to be interesting. We know that when they're separate, Matthew Stafford favors either one of them.
Yeah.
But when they're both in the game, they kind of both got the equal touches, and that's what's going to be key for them. Even with the running game that they have, Kyron Williams is healthy. Blake Corum, they just drafted. Like, they're going to have opportunities to run the ball, but obviously we know that throwing the ball is what they're going to lean towards with Sean McVay. And for the Lions, everybody's expecting a big year. Everything I've heard from them is like the Lions are the NFC Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
And I think they are too. It's going to be interesting coming out. I mean, they have all their key pieces back. I've heard Jameson Williams made a huge jump this offseason.
Definitely.
That'll be an interesting one. I don't know. If Jameson Williams can cap off and really be that deep threat what they were missing last year, that Lions team is super hard to guard.
Yeah, I was definitely hearing a lot about Jameson and the progression he's made this offseason. So definitely expecting big things out of him. And far as the Lions go, far as what I believe they need to do to win the game, I say stop the Rams passing game. Obviously, we just talked about Puka and Cooper. But, it just goes deeper than that. Those are two solid receivers. They're always going to find their spots. They're going to find the little creases in the defense. So the defense has really got to be locked down in the secondary and just shut that down. And then offensively, I say establish the run game. If they can establish the run game, it'll definitely open things up for them as far as passing the ball wise. And obviously, you more than likely want to stay away from Jalen Ramsey's side, no matter who you have matching up with him. But yeah, that's what I have for the Lions. And then as far as the Rams, defensively, same thing, stop the pass game. He's going to want to hit Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you definitely have to be on the lookout for the deep threat with Jameson Williams. As we were just talking, we're expecting him to have a great year, but he's also got a lot of eyes on him just because of this offseason. And then offensively for the Rams, I say establish their pass game early. That way it can open things up for the running backs like Kyron Williams to have a great game. So,
yeah, I would see the Rams. I could see them being a very heavy play action team this year.
Yeah.
Having that two running back system who are both very dangerous in Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. If they can establish some early game and then, roll out, and then all of a sudden you have a wide open Cooper Kupp, that team gets a lot more dangerous. But we also heard that Williams will be kicking or punt returns and kick returns. So how does that affect his health? That's going to be something to watch out for. Because when you get down to just Blake Corum, you're not going to be able to run the same scheme as when you have a two running back head. But I think I see the an upset here in the Rams coming out in this game. I just think that their offense is dangerous, and I see that Jalen Ramsey kind of locking down St. Brown and kind of limiting all their options. But I think the upset comes in the Rams here.
I actually have the Lions for this game. I think that Jameson's going to be the deciding factor as far as offensively, because, like you just said, we're expecting him to have a great year coming off of this offseason. But I think it's going to be the deep ball threat that really pushes him over the edge. I know they got Jalen Ramsey, and they got Bobby Wagner who rushing the QB, but I really just see Jameson being the deciding factor in this game. And then if Jameson's not there, as far as passing the ball wise, you got Amon St. Brown. And then even if they're able to shut the pass down, Jamar Gibbs, great running back, sees the field very well. I think he'll find the gaps on the defense, and he's prone to make defenders miss in open field, so that'll be something to watch out for as well. But moving on to the Jets-Niners. Key matchups, obviously you got Sauce, you got Williams, and then you got Rodgers. And then as far as the Niners, you got Purdy, Chris McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, and Fred Warner. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers, we know what they can do. This game is really the unproven versus the proven. We've seen the 49ers the last couple of years. They brought back pretty much their whole team last year. We know Chris McCaffrey is that guy. He's honestly one of the best players in the world when he is healthy. They got Ayuk's situation figured out, which is huge for them, as much as I think Ricky Pearsall could have filled a little bit of that gap. Yeah. He's not Brandon Ayuk. So that's got to be realistic.
It's always hard to replace somebody like that.
And Deebo Samuel being that dual threat where he can run the ball, he can catch the ball, and he threw the ball last year too. So apparently he can do all three.
Hey.
I mean, it's just super dangerous. But then the Jets, they come in with Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't played since getting hurt on the first drive of last season.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? They brought in Mike Williams, who's a big weapon. We know what Garrett Wilson could do. Breece Hall on offense is great, but their O-line was so hurt. Can he, establish the run with their own line being kind of shaken up and not having a lot proven either? So this is going to be a huge game, and I think this comes down to defense more than the other three come down to offense. And on Monday night, it's as much as it might be a shootout, the defenses will be the biggest factor.
Definitely. Like you were just talking about, defense is going to be the biggest matchup, and I see Quentin Williams being a big factor in this game and probably being a deciding factor. As far as putting pressure on the QB and force him to get the ball out early, which in hopes it'll get the sauce. Obviously, one of the best lockdown defenders in the game right now. But as far as what I believe the Jets need to do to win the game, I think they need to get the run established early and then defensively control the secondary for sure.
Yeah, I think, like you said, that defense in the Jets is super proven and dangerous. I mean, Quentin Williams is one of the best interior defensive lineman, and then Sauce Gardner, who's young, might be the best corner right now, and he pretty much locked down anybody. I'm intrigued to see who they do put Sauce on. Is it going to go to Deebo? Is it going to go to Ayuk? Or maybe, we haven't even mentioned George Kittle, who's a top 2 tight end in my opinion.
Yeah. I think I honestly, in my personal opinion, I think Sauce is probably going to guard Deebo because he's more of a versatile threat. Like you just said, he can run, he could catch, he could pass. Mm-hmm. So I think Sauce be taking that matchup for sure.
Yeah, I think Monday night this game doesn't come sound close. To me, the unexperienced Aaron Rodgers is going to take him a little time to get adjusted. I think the 49ers pour out. To me, I think it's going to be a blowout, actually. I just don't see Aaron Rodgers coming back from an injury like that and being 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. But it could be close if Aaron Rodgers plays like we know he can, and Breece Hall is continually dominant on that offensive line.
I definitely understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna go with the underdog and the Jets here. You really just can't bet against Rodgers. Yes, he's coming off an injury, but it's Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. He's not gonna make great things happen. And he's got great weapons. As far as offensively with the receiving core. And then I just think the defense here is going to get the job done for them. Yes, we know the Niners were literally just at the Super Bowl, but I think that the pieces that they have, they're young pieces, but they are getting the job done. I think Niners are going to make a lot of turnovers. And the Jets will be able to capitalize on those early.
One game I've heard thrown a lot around is this Texans-Colts game. a lot of intrigue there. Probably the two heaviest favorites for that division. We're looking at AR, Anthony Richardson, coming back and played 4 games last year, but was dominant in those 4 games. And then you have a Houston team who is proven, but also brings in a lot of new pieces. How that has affected them? What do you see in that game?
I see the Texans coming out with the win in this one. They're coming off a great year. They got a lot of returning pieces, obviously, but they just added more. And Anthony Richardson, I mean, yeah, he played 4 games. He looked great. But I mean, it's his first game back. He's going to be a little shaken up, just kind of worrying about that injury and re-injuring it. But the Texans defensively, they were locked down when they needed it most, until they came to the playoffs, obviously. But I mean, those playoff games are something different. But I think just to start this year, I think the Texans will win the game.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see is probably a slightly more proven C.J. Stroud, a little more sure C.J. Stroud versus Anthony Richardson, and that's going to be the biggest matchup, right? We've seen, even though they both are second-year players, C.J. got a whole year. He got a playoff game, which is huge for experience, and Anthony Richardson is more proving himself than he is, trying to win the game a little bit. That's what it feels like, which is not fair to him, but it's the way it works when you're injury-prone, through college, through the NFL, and your team is like not necessarily a favorite in the game.
I see the Colts defense just not being able to keep up. Obviously, you got weapons in Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. So I think those would be 2 key guys for CJ, and obviously he's going to get to him early. I just don't think the Colts defensively have the pieces to be able to lock them down for a full quarters. So.
And one thing has been blowing up, of course, we have the Hard Knocks. This team's on Hard Knocks, so of course they get a little more. But with the number 1 pick coming in at quarterback, them getting all these weapons, how do you feel about the Bears this year?
The Bears. I think that they are going to do well this year. How well? Couldn't really tell you. I see them being like an 8-win team, 7-win team. I don't really see them making the playoffs. I wouldn't be shocked if they did though. It's kind of a dark horse in that a dark horse playoff team. But Caleb Williams, he's looking very confident very early. And you really don't see that out of rookie quarterbacks, especially first-round draft picks and first overall picks in general. He's looking very confident, and he's looking very poised for our first-year quarterbacks, which I think is very scary. And it's definitely going to be a thing to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that wraps up our first show of Balls and Bowties. Thank you for joining us. We're on the learning things as we go. The first time around. Figured out we'll get better, and hopefully our background becomes a little more entertaining than a blank wall, but we'll get there. My name is Noah Frankie, and my handle on Twitter is Noah E. Frankie.
My name is Rhyan Shanklin, and my handle on Twitter is Rhyan Shanklin.
And we'll see you guys next week. Coming up, we have tomorrow's morning show. Wednesday morning, catch us there. And we have 1 week off from golf, so the next show after that will be Thursday morning show where we get all the big Paul Stones of the world. Thank you all for joining us this week.